Welcome to the Ramen Break Podcast. I am DJC Universe, where we take a break from the All-Outrageous podcast and give you an hour straight of just pure anime bliss. Now, this podcast, it's me, Doombot TV, Beyond Meaning, and Super Thought here, four of the biggest anime watchers in the group. We just wanted to have a separate show where we just took a deep dive into the greater world of anime and talked about topics here that might be a little bit more niche, but that we still think are very important. Now, today on our show, we're going to talk about My Hero Academia and how we like the character development in the show, or how we do not like the character development in the show. Then we're going to have a little bit of a big switch, and we're going to talk about the very serious topic of the sexualization of young girls in anime and how that applies in the United States. And finally, we're going to end our discussion talking about the rise of streaming services such as Funimation and Crunchyroll and how we think that's affected the anime landscape as a whole. Now, back to our first topic again, talking about the My Hero series. My Hero is obviously one of the most popular anime in the world at this point. I think to many people, it is their favorite anime with a very rabid fan base that can be very aggressive. So, for the first question ever on the Ramen Break podcast, I want you, Doombot TV, to tell me, how do you enjoy the character development in My Hero Academia?
All right, this is gonna be a brave subject. I'm gonna try not to piss off any of my hero fans, but let's get into it.
Good luck.
I think they're doing. I think they're doing a good job. I know people say, "Oh my God, character development is such an overused term," but okay. So I'm gonna look at Bakugo first, right?
Mhm.
So we got to see a bit of Bakugo, who literally was a school bully, and I don't know if I remember this, but apparently he told Deku to go kill himself. It's probably one of, like, it's something you really don't joke about any kind of platform at all. And instead of Bakugo as this character no one at all liked, I know I talked to Super Thought about him a long time ago, and he hated him. I didn't really care for him. I don't think anybody really cared for him. But then this season, we got to see Bakugo kind of take on a role as like a leader. Within this season, a spoiler alert if you aren't caught up, not going to spoil too much, but we got to see him kind of step up, protect his teammates, and really kind of carry his team to victory. I think that he's changed his role from he wants to be the best, doesn't care if you're trash or not. If you're trash, he's not going to, point you out for it, but he's going to be the guy who's going to strive to be the best that he can be without, kind of taking inspiration from others.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he knows Midoriya has One for All, I feel like that's pushed him even harder. He doesn't care he has it. He's still going to find ways to be the best that he can be. And I also think that he's kind of turned into Midoriya's actual rival, but at the same time still pushes Midoriya to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he gets off of doing something amazing, he looks at Midoriya and says, "I'm getting better. I don't know if you're regressing or getting better yourself." And it's kind of to look at Midoriya and say, "Hey, look at me and look how good I'm doing. So you make sure you keep doing the same thing." And I think that's good to see from Bakugo. I think that hopefully he keeps going, and hopefully he doesn't regress back to mean bully who tells people to jump off buildings and whatnot. And I think his character progression goes towards his quirk. He probably has some of the best quirk development we've seen in the show. We've seen a lot from everybody, but Bakugo in particular has like multiple techniques he uses. He knows how to apply his quirk in ways I never thought of. I mean, he knows how to fly. He's got like armor piercing shot. He has the scatter shot he does. He has the flashbang thing he does. Besides just explosions, there are all kind of ways he used to apply his quirk in multiple ways. I think that's what the show is supposed to be about, and that's the best way to show character development. Or one of the best ways is to show how they use their powers and what they were given.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to pose a question to you. I'm going to pose to everyone. My one issue with My Hero is that everyone seems to have great character development except for the main character. And the main character's development seems to be average. It seems to be the basic shonen protagonist development, whereas everyone else has this, I would say, top tier level development for a show. Does that bother any of you, or do you disagree with me on the fact that I don't think that Midoriya development is anything special or to write home about?
I'd agree with you. I don't know about anybody else.
I agree. Go ahead.
Beyond.
All right. I do believe Midoriya's character development is not as lustful as all the other characters so far in the series, but I think they're trying to pull more of that late game character development where we see, because he is that character. We already know he's supposed to be good, the greatest there is, but So they're trying to hold it back before giving us that full power level that we know he can reach to. And I think they want to make sure we also have interest in the side characters and not just the main characters.
Soup to you because I know you had something to say there.
Yeah, I don't got anything too extravagant to say that Beyond hasn't said already. Is I agree with you, DJC, in the fact that I don't think Midoriya's progression or development is anything special, but I do think that he is developing nonetheless. Where he started from to where he's at now, where you really see like the weight of his actions and like him taking the whole world into view and everything. I think that's really changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
One, just for an obvious note, he's crying a lot less, which is for a lot of people was a huge gripe from Midoriya, which I was fine with. He was going through some shit, but I think just in general, while it's not a special one, I think it's a necessary one for who his character is. He's not the Bakugo who is this just asshole kind of character who had a superior, actually inferiority complex, who has to learn how to work with others. He's not that person. I think for what Deku was, I think it's an appropriate development, and I think that he's progressing in the right direction. When it first started, it was he just wanted powers. He wanted to be cool. He wanted to be like All Might and all these things. But as it gets farther and farther, people start dying. People start getting hurt. Realize careers getting ended. R.I.P. Mirio. And I think that he's
He'll be
really
back.
progressing along with the show. So
Mm-hmm.
while it's not spectacular, it's not anything you're not going to see from like any other random insert anime pro tag. I do think it's necessary. And I think my
Mm-hmm.
hero does it well.
Okay. Well, I agree with you guys. I understand. It's just for me, I think one of the most important beats that every show needs to have, especially if you're going to be like a long running show, is that you have to have character development. If your characters are the same for 200 episodes, then you don't have a good show. And that's not even a hot take, that's just a fact. And a big part of that is the character that's going to be on screen for like 75 to 85% of the time, I feel like should have the best character development. Now, you guys are telling me that eventually he'll get to that. Let me clarify because I guess I'm a little confused with what you're saying. Are you saying that eventually you think Midoriya will have the character development to the level of like a Bakugo or another great character is
Todoroki.
Todoroki. There we go. Todoroki's character development. Are you saying that? Or are you saying, well, just because of the universe in itself, it works its way where he doesn't need to grow that much just because of the overall like nature of his character? Is that what I'm getting from you guys?
Um, I think he's growing. I guess the best way to answer your question would be the pros of comparison would be between him and Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say Naruto is their favorite anime, one of the best of all time. But take a step back and look at what kind of character development Naruto went through. And I don't see too much. I mean, kind of throughout the show, he was kind of like the guy who spiky hair protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
and he's wanted to be Okage. That's it. But I want to be Okage, and I want to find Sasuke. He did that for a really, really, really long time. And I feel like Midoriya is started out being I want to be like All Might. I want to be the new All Might, and I'm going to have one for all. But I think slowly we've seen him kind of change over to I can't have one for all the way All Might did, and I want to make one for all something I own and something I put my own twist in.
Uh-huh.
So I think he's trying to change a little bit, but it's still probably not the strongest of the show because I think like something like Beyond said earlier, like Todoroki and let's say Bakugo have some really strong character development as like the other two kind of like main protagonists of the show.
Okay. I feel you. I feel you on that. I don't know. I have a moment of pause when you say he's like Naruto because that's another story for a different day. But moving on to Beyond, moving on. Sorry, not Beyond. My apologies. I'm coughing. I know it's our first episode, but unfortunately, I woke up today with a sore throat. So if I make some mistakes, everyone, please forgive me. Sue for thought. Moving on to you now. You touched a little bit about what you thought about my question, but I still want to know your overall greater feeling of the show. Are there any characters that you think are just exceptional? Do you find the overall character development of the show to be exceptional, or is there things that bother you like there are that bother me?
There's always things that bother me, but in general, comparing it to other similar like shonen protagonist anime, I think that My Hero does a great job with it. I really do. A lot of characters, while like for Deku Midori, for example, he doesn't go through it like a giant, crazy looping character arc, but like Beyond and Doombot talking about Bakugo and Todoroki do, they go through these, which are by all, I love them by all means, are their side characters, right? They do a great job of developing not only the main character but side characters as well. You got Todoroki, Bakugo, Ida, who I did not give a shit about until recently. He's trying to be he's trying to be to do his best to live up to his brother's image and sort of giving up on that whole teacher pet kind of thing. You saw even how deep he was willing to go. You see these character arcs really get fleshed out in the background and the foreground for a lot of characters in this show. So I'm really impressed with how they do that. But if I had to give it shine spotlight on one person, you know who would actually be? It'd be Shigaraki. I think that he is going through a very, and they do it purposely. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a parallel between him and Deku. They do it all the time, but I think he's going through a very similar progression and character development that the main side characters are too, which I don't see a lot of shows doing. Usually, when a villain gets introduced, they're already this top tier person, this evil mastermind who's already got his plan in motion, ready to go. But when we meet Shigaraki, he's like an immature child trying to essentially just has these grandiose ideas how he can take over the world with no actual plan on how to do it. But as the show progresses, he gets allies, he gets I don't even say friends. He gets mentor. He has mistakes. He has failures. He's learning all these things to the point where not the most recent or the last most recent with the overhaul arc, he even took a background role because he knew there was be a time for him to come in and ultimately take over, which he did, which the Shigaraki in the beginning wouldn't have done that. He would have fought Overhaul right at the start, possibly died, and threw this whole operation in shambles. But nope, he played smart. He waited until he's had opportunity, he sees it. So not only does my hero progress the good characters like Bakugo and Todoroki and Deku, they even pay attention to the villains as well. So I thought this is super interesting to see. You don't really get to see a villain develop like that. They're always perfect, quote unquote, where they're at. Like Aizen and Madara. Madara doesn't have a development arc other than just that bullshit apology at the end. They're already who they are. So I think it's really cool that my hero is able to take Shigaraki on that journey with us as well. I think you do a great job of that.
I agree completely with what you just said, 110%. I guess going back to why I even said in the first place that character development is most important to me is because there's so many shows where they're just like, okay, this person is strong, boom, you should respect them now, and then they stay strong for like 100 episodes but have no journey, which is absolutely ridiculous. Moving on now to our next one. Finally, as I said, apologies. Beyond Meaning, tell me about your overall view of the character development of the show.
So I think right now My Hero does have one of the best character developments for the characters overall. Even though Deku's lacking in his development, but I think once again like they're trying to create a late game development for him because inevitably you kind of when he's introduced you already know he's going to be the best. So it's just like well let's develop all these other characters, and so essentially you're kind of I feel like they by doing that, by creating their characters, you kind of get the sense of like, well, we already know he's going to be the best, so I don't really have to pay attention to him as much. And so we're kind of able to pay attention to the character development of the side characters in My Hero. And the popular characters are getting developed, and I think Bakio had the best character development and delivery in the show so far. Him just chasing to be like that number one hero, and once again, like Doombot said in the beginning, he has that jock ego, and he's just like that bully in the beginning. But through the way he was fighting with his teammates in his match, you start to see that he cares about his peers. He just doesn't show it in upfront and direct ways. He shows it by still being that I'm a badass personality. And so I just liked how they created it. In the beginning, I'm going to this fight when I'm watching him, and he's just telling his teammates like what we're going to do, and he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna like basically. It seemed like he was going to take them all on, and then you get halfway through the flashy fights and the moves and stuff, and then suddenly you see the other half of the speech. I'm going to save you, and you're going to save me. So it's just like he's basically telling like we're going to be a team, and this team is going to be 4-0. I mean, we're not going to have any losses, and it's just amazing to see how his character has developed. And once again, like Doomba said, seeing his leadership qualities shine, even though it's not like I forgot her name, the girl with the who doubts her leadership, the one who can create stuff from her body.
Yaya Rosa.
Yeah, you kind of see how her leadership style is, and all these characters are just developing in general and throughout this whole show. And it's just, I love how going through that episode and finally getting towards the end after the match is over and watching them walk off, just nobody KO'd and put in jail and stuff. And you just see the look on All Might's face, like, I got chills. Like he literally said exactly what I believe the whole audience of My Hero was feeling during that episode was, I got chills. And it's like I got the anime teary eye when like you get so hyped, you just like, damn, that's amazing. And it's just cool to see how Bakugo's development has progressed through this series, because honestly, he might be one of my favorite characters now out of this whole series besides Todoroki. And
including
it's just
Endeavor.
kind of Endeavor's character development at the end. I was hyped about it, but not as much as I thought it would be compared to Bakugo's character development. And it's just kind of sad to see how Todoroki's character development, it's there, but it kind of fell off because we didn't get to see him use his move, which was going to be kind of similar to his dad's. And it was it's just crazy to see how we know he could be just as good as Bakugo, and Todoroki's probably even better than both of them. And it's just sad to see like we didn't get a glimpse of it. And I think they're trying to hold out his power because I think they want to give us more of a story with him and his dad by allowing him to explore his power and get like guidance from his dad about how to use it, because it seemed like it was about to be a Prominence Burns type of move that he was about to do. And I just feel like Deku's development, it's just more of that knowledge about his quirk, and you kind of like, okay, cool, and it's exciting to see and all, but it just really just helps catapult the story because he is the main character. So his character development, in a sense, about his, it's just to help move the story along while developing all these other characters too, to get to that end goal, that massive fight, the moment where hopefully All For One is gone and out the picture, this evil doer and all the evil that's going on in the show. And it's just inevitably, like, I think Bakugo had the best development so far throughout the series. And it's just kind of sad to see the two other main characters that everybody is hyped for kind of not be as exciting as Bakugo was for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll slightly disagree with you on that Todoroki point, but I'm looking at the time and we got to move on. We're going to move on to a very, very, very serious topic here, and that is the very wide and broad conversation about the sexualization of young girls in anime. What I get on about this is things like lollies, which are, if you don't know, is when there's a character and they'll say she's like 25, but she looks like a 10-year-old girl, or how anime will have creepy old men character who like pants girls or look up their skirts all the time, and it's just played for laughs, when in reality that's just assault. And often in this country, we try to pretend that that's just an outside thing. And by this country, I mean the United States. However, we watch these shows and they're widely accepted here. Seven Deadly Sins is a very popular show, and Meliodas is a pervert, and that's just played for laughs. Same thing with Master Roshi and DBZ. He's in Jiraiya in Naruto, and Sanji in One Piece, just to keep going. So to start this off, we're going to do this in a couple of segments. With my best way I think of tackling this. One, why do we think this is just so accepted in anime? We're going to start off with that question first. I'm going to start off with you again, Doombot.
Okay, senpai. So, I think this is something hard. This is something we could have an entire podcast episode on because it's a lot. But to start, I think you can actually look at the cultural differences between the United States and Japan. if you wanna start stating facts, the legal age in Japan is 13. I don't know any other cultural surrounding around that because we're all from the United States. But the lowest it gets in the United States is I think 16. And even 16, a lot of people are like, "Whoa, that's too low." So when
Mm-hmm.
you hit Japan at 13, you're like, "Oh my god, that's uncalled for and unheard of." And I think that transfers over a lot to their media. You see them sexualizing the legal age because it's not inappropriate or it's not viewed as like, it's not viewed as illegal or as creepy or so much. But in the United States, we see that and we're like, okay, no, that's not okay. And it really just calls to the cultural differences between the United States and Japan. It's hard to go over somewhere else and say what you're doing here is wrong because
Mm-hmm.
that's you're not from here. You're an outsider and your input doesn't have as much say. Um, and I think it really just shows in the art. It's also you have to look at that a lot of anime, a lot of manga is targeted towards the teenage demographic
Mm-hmm.
and teenagers are very sexually interested, meaning that they see a girl
They
with
horny, baby.
big boobs,
Yeah.
that's go. Um, and sex sells a lot. I mean, sex sells a lot. That's why you see movies with like shirtless girls, guys with the 6 pack abs, because it works. And I think they also know that in anime. So okay, let's put an anime out there, and the cover's going to be some girl has a really cute smile, but she's going to have like triple Z boobs. Minus
Mm-hmm.
the back problems. I mean, that's just how the anime is going to be set up because that's who they want to draw in.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it a lot. And as an insider, you watch anime and your brain kind of becomes kind of numb to it. You start seeing shows. You may see it in certain episodes and you may stick out to you. Other times you just kind of get numb to it. And
Mm-hmm.
it takes someone walking in and saying, "Why are her boobs so big?" You're just like, "Oh, I mean, it's just how anime is," and that's probably the best answer you can give because it's just how anime is. There is no other reason for it besides them just trying to like sexualize characters
Mm-hmm.
to draw in people to kind of get people interested. And there is a weird kind of like attraction around beautiful anime girls with like big boobs. It's just how some people
Waifus.
are. Waifus, I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
like you said earlier, lollies and all that kind of stuff. And I don't I think even in Japan it gets called out when they start sexualizing like underage girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the writers protect themselves as well. I mean, Soup kind of joke about the excuse they make. Not joke about it, but kind of like make light of it. How they're like, "Oh, she looks young, but hey, she's a 300-year-old demon lord, so it's okay."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like stuff like that is like, okay, I guess, but why is she drawn like a 12-year-old? And then she also
Yeah.
has no clothes on at the same time. But again, they use the excuse. So technically, she's not underage, and technically she's an old demon lord. She's not human. Don't even worry about it. So I think it's a mixture between numbness, cultural difference, and just the idea of like spec selling that why this all this kind of blends together to be accepted. Even though sometimes for certain shows it just goes too far.
Definitely. Well, before I switch over to soup, I just want to say here that first and foremost, we understand that we're not, and I want to be clear, we're not saying that in Japan everyone's just in love with 13-year-olds, and I understand that even anime culture in Japan is often not as accepted as we try to make it out in America. I know in America we like to stereotype Japan, and we think that like everyone is just watching anime over there, and I understand that for a lot of people, you can be a lot of times over there you're viewed as a loser if you're like a certain age. You're still big into manga, or you're a hikikomori, which is someone that's a homebody or an otaku and stuff like that. I know we can glamorize it here in the U.S., but it isn't always loved. But moving on to soup for thought now, how do you feel about Doombot's comments?
I think what Doom about said was very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying in the beginning, it's so hard to break it down because this is a wide stretching issue, and especially with a cultural thing. Like I'm not Japanese. I'm not Japanese born. It would be like there's like a Japanese person who is Japanese born trying to explain why it's difficult for a black person in America. Like it's kind of like that. As in,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so far away from it that it's hard for me to really give a good answer. But like I agree with a lot of Doombot said. What I chalk it up to is the cultural differences, the just a general desensitization that. Geez, I cannot pronounce his word. You see, help me out. You're a smart young man. What's the word I'm trying to say?
Desensitization? I don't even know. I see. I screwed it up too.
Yeah, the fact that we're desensitized to
There we
it.
go.
Even go back as I think a lot of people's first introduction to anime was, I want to say, was Dragon Ball. Even then, you had Bulma trading her panties to get Master Roshi to complete some kind of task. You're watching it, and you're thinking like, as a kid, you're thinking, that's funny. He got her, that creepy old man. But when
Yeah.
you go back and watch it, you're like, wow, this is really, really messed up. And I think what saves it a lot is that I don't even want to say saves. I think it's an inappropriate word to choose. But I think what people excuse it a lot is because it's animated. Like imagine some of the scenes that you've seen. For example, Doom, I was talking about like the 1,000-year-old demon lord who looks like she's in the 6th grade, who's getting harassed by this new protagonist. Imagine that scene, except it's actual actors playing the actual age.
Could never
It
pass.
looks, yeah, would never pass, should never pass. Looks completely different. So I think with the fact that everyone's just so desensitized to it, and the fact that people are almost getting a break because it's animated, I feel like that's what caused a lot of that to happen. But in general, that's just what I have to say. I agree with a lot of
Okay.
I
I want to stop you real quick. I want to ask you this question before I move on to the Beyond real quick. Would you also say that in a way that's part of America's culture? Because I mean, now it's become kind of a thing where we try not to sexualize people. But 20 years ago, if you had a character in a TV show that maybe not did it with a teenage girl, but maybe if you had like two teenagers in a show, and if you had a guy character that was like, hey, let's pull her skirt up and like, he's just funny. Whereas now we're like, no, that guy's a creep. And do you think maybe that also was a reason it's accepted? Because in a way, while the age thing wasn't there, the kind of sexualization of women has always been there in the United States.
Yeah, if you take the age out of it, regardless, the sexualization of women has always been a factor in almost every single form of American media. The objectification of sex, the fact they're sexualizing everything that they do. Look at even what's the biggest thing people go see now? The superhero movies, the MCU, Marvel, the Avengers. Look at every promotional photo for the Avengers. Every one of those photos, Black Widow's turn around with her butt facing the camera, while everyone else has their chest facing it, even though it makes absolutely no sense. That's something that's always been prevalent in American society. It's prevalent in a lot of media, and unfortunately, like Doombot said as well, I think he had a lot of great points. Sex sells, man, and this is something that they have always used to market towards their audience, which, especially a lot of things, are young males, and it works for what they're doing. I do not think it's something that's ever going to go away as much. I think as we progress as society, we'll be able to call it out more and mention it. But I think the thing that goes with the political correctness and the being awareness, it comes in waves. So we're in a spot right now where we're hypersensitive, and we're aware of things, and we're calling stuff out. But I feel like at some point we're going to dip back down to the point where we're objectifying women and sexual and using sex to sell things. Because at the end of the day, people are going to, I say people, I mean businesses, people who are controlling media, everything like that, they're going to follow the money. If money is telling them that if I place this attractive woman next to this product, you are 5% more likely to buy it, that's what they're going to keep doing. So until we as society change, I don't know what it's going to take. I'm not a sociologist. I have no idea what that would even take. But until that part changes, where the money is no longer making it profitable for them to objectify women, it's going to keep happening.
I have to agree with a lot of what you just said there. You just hit the nail right on the coffin. That is the saying, right? You hit the nail right on the coffin.
Yeah, something like that.
I had a
You
question.
hit on the head, isn't it?
You hit the nail right on the. Well, either or.
I'm about to say.
Whatever you say is correct.
All right, and I know you're about to be correct. So Beyond, tell me what you're thinking about. Tell me.
I think Doombot had a question.
No,
Oh, Doombot, do you have something?
No, I was agreeing with you. So
Oh, okay.
you're doing good. I was just pushing forward.
First of all, then Doombot, you jump in there and you tell him you agree. You're an ally, right?
I think you're getting topics confused, but yes, I am an ally. But no, I thought Soup had some very good ideas, so I'm interested to see what Beyond and even you, DJ, have to say. So
Yeah. No, but seriously, Beyond, do your thing.
All right, yeah. So it's sexualization of females in anime. It's a culture of itself, really. It comes from Japan. Japan really don't give a fuck about what everybody else thinks. They're gonna keep doing it, I feel like. And I think we're more hypersensitive to it because it's not our culture. It's not America. or if you stayed in the UK and sexualization in the UK and you watch anime, you're not as sensitive. You're not as sensitive to your own culture's sexualization, and I think that's one of the big things that come about it is that in America we sexualize stuff all the time. It's we don't mention it as much because it's not our own culture, the Japanese culture of anime. So I think a lot of the fans see it, a lot of people see it, and then once again, like Dumba said, it comes to the fact that it's kind of part of anime. You just kind of like, yeah, that's a thing in anime, so let it be in a sense. And I think a lot of it comes from fan servicing too. It's just a lot of the anime series want to keep their fans, and that's what their fans like to watch. So they're going to keep buying product and keep watching it, so we can keep making money. So we're going to fan service everything we need out, and a lot of it, I feel like, it's just it just depends upon what anime you're watching, because just about every anime has sexualization, and it comes down to the fact of like if you're watching a redo of the healer, that's pushing borders right
That's
there for
porn.
hentai.
That's
That's
porn. It's porn.
Oh,
yeah,
without
it's
question.
basically
That's just
legal.
porn.
Porn is legal, I guess, but it's just
Mhm.
it's pushing the boundaries pretty far. And the fact that if you watch like Naruto, and when Naruto uses the sexy jutsu, that's a form of sexualization of females. And just watching pretty much any anime, you will see some form of sexualization of females, and there could be sexualization of males. Like once again,
All right, I don't know. I think you're jumping on that one. I don't know if every anime has that.
all right, go ahead, name an anime without sexualization of females.
It's probably gonna be children's anime. In all honesty,
Uh,
I was about to
but
say, because I mean,
that's not truly what most fans watch is the children.
Pokemon.
I'd say most
Yeah,
anime have some form of sexualization, but even
Yeah,
I'm watching certain scientific Rogan right now, and it's actually pretty
there's not.
passive. It'd be really hard to kind of find an episode where there's sexualization, but I agree with most a
yeah,
lot
that's what I'm saying. Most of it is
a
pretty
Okay.
lot
much
of the
sexualized.
Even if you look at Pokemon, a lot of some of the like higher level Pokemon are still built curvy and for no reason at all. Like it's hard to explain. DDC, I'll send you what I'm
Yeah,
talking about. Some of them are curvy for no reason at all.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, listen, there are people
and
out
Team
there.
Rocket.
That's true. Jesse and James from time to time. I mean, I think that one I can get with you with most. I just can't get with you with all have some type. And in the Pokemon one, I can sort of get with you on that one because older Pokemon like Jesse and James had like some weird whatever. But either way, I
Yeah,
cut you off.
yeah.
Keep going, Beyond.
Yeah, it's just I feel like it really comes down to the like demographics of who watching it. Once again, like everybody stated, it's mostly males, so they're targeting it towards males. So it's a lot of action, boobs, girls. It just helps sell their product well. And the fact in like America, I feel like Thor is pretty much the sexualization for females because a lot of females when they go watch the Avengers, they're watching shirtless Thor or Chris Hemsworth. God damn. And you can see it in our culture as well. And it's just I feel like not not a lot of people target their own sexualization of characters in their own culture. And so it's easy for us to just see it in other cultures that's especially if it's super present.
It's just because and not every show is like this, but I'm thinking about like high school DxD or a lot of harem anime where
I watched high school.
it's real difficult to find American counterparts for shows like that, even in like animated shows. Like
Well, you
let's
got
go.
Archer.
That's different.
well, it's
That's
different. That's a
It's,
satire. That's a
it's
that's a
satirical.
targeted.
satire though.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
high school DxD wants you to take it like seriously, so it's hard to find. And to the level like you can give me
Well,
Archer, but I can give you like 30 shows in
yeah.
anime form that
Yeah.
are. And even to your Chris Hemsworth point, like I don't want to go from like anime to real life because I think it's well documented in America how like
Yeah. I
we
was
sexualize actors.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like it's more present in America for live action than
Hmm.
the cartoons or anime
Mhm.
form, because I feel like in the Japanese culture, that's one of the more popular things to do is do animations
Yeah.
compared to America, where we do a lot of live action shows. So you gonna see one of the characters fucking somebody on the show, and you're like, yep, they're in between the sheets. Something's going on.
No,
Well,
I hear you.
beyond, I think a better comparison for you to your point would be like between anime, manga, and comics in North America.
Okay, yeah,
That's a
If
good
you
yeah,
one.
ever look
yeah.
at
That was
Starfire in comics is sexualized to the max. I mean,
so. What's
It's almost a
the
whole character.
yeah,
Mhm.
I like her as a character in the shows, but in comics, she's very drawn like skimpy. There's like a comic where they went to the beach and she was like a full page of her getting out the water.
I
It's
know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, she's very sexualized. I think that would be a good
uh,
comparison for
yeah,
you.
the Teen Titans animation with Nightwing and Starfire in it.
Yep. I was talking about.
That was yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Catwoman is
jokes.
another one that they just make a
Super
sex symbol.
sexualized.
Super
Yeah.
sexual. I get your point. I get your
Oh,
point.
the biggest one of them all, Power Girl.
There you go. Squirrel Girl too.
I don't know about Squirrel Girl because the recent one I
Wow,
seen,
man, she's a freak, man. She's a
she
freak.
kind of look like she's from Russia.
Let me start on Granny Goodness.
But allowing me to finish up this topic, all I have to say is, for me in particular, I think it's something where we've become so numb to it, and because it's animated, I forget who, someone said it before. Because it's animated, I think we can just let it go past us. I know the other
Yeah,
day
it's
we
not real
were
life.
Yeah, I know the other day we were talking. I think Doom and Soup. I think and Beyond. I think y'all brought it up. Is like sometimes you can hear English in an anime from like a Japanese voice actor and not even notice it. And then you put that clip in the freaking our Instagram group chat, and it took me like 3 listens and I was like, oh, she's trying to speak English. Like I didn't even realize it. So I think it's one of those things where like you just get used to it, and because when you get so into something, I think you can just accept it. So I feel like for a lot of us, we're at the phase where we're just going to defend it because we love it so much. Whereas like Seraphin at the End is a show I like a lot, but it has such strange, and not because it's got homoerotic sexual undertones, but because the undertones are very like the age gaps aren't all there. Like it's a bunch of like 14-year-olds like looking at each other very seductively, and I still like defend it as a show because I'm like, all right, once you get past that, it's a good show. I just feel that some of the anime, I have too much respect for the genre as a whole, and I feel like the genre as a whole, especially in the last couple of years, we've had such fantastic anime. And I think when you have shows like Redo of a Healer, and I just call them shock shows, they're just there to shock the conscience and appeal to damn near like the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
Like the fan that's just like, I just, the hentai fan, which if you like hentai, good for you. But I'm just saying they're that. I think that holds the genre back as a whole because for every Attack on Titan or even a romance anime that does a love story right, and I don't have an issue if anime characters have sex on screen. I just have issue when it's done in a way that isn't remotely realistic. Like I'll go back to Melio just putting his head up a skirt. That to me is a problem. I think that slowly but surely, I do believe it'll be phased out because the world is becoming more connected than ever, and I think these ideas are going to be shared around. I think people are going to realize like, all right, it's a
I
little weird to
I
have these characters.
actually disagree on that. I feel like it won't phase out.
I think it will, just because we live in a culture right now where we cancel stuff for everything, and I think it's coming because how do I put it? I felt like 5 6 years ago, the shows that like tore up the anime charts, half of them were harems and half of them had chicks with big boobs and whatnot. And now I look, and there's a lot of shows with really strong writing, beautiful animation, and great character development, which I think is becoming more the norm. Just because I think a lot of people you just can't watch High School DxD anymore, and just explain it because you can't explain it. You literally can't. There's certain shit you just can't explain. Like there's a show
What you
called
mean? It's
You can't
zombies.
explain High School DxD.
It's just zombies, bro.
Please don't try
In
to
high school.
That's not High
in
School
high-
DxD. That's High School. That's a different show you're thinking of.
Oh,
Thing.
my bad then.
Yeah, like High School DxD is literally just. It's about them. It has a very cool premise for the show, but literally it's just every fight the girls' tits just pop out, and I mean like they have to edit them out, and there's just no way to explain it. Now, Doombot, you said you had
However,
something. Go ahead.
No, see, I agree. I mean, I agree with High School DxD is a big one, and I mean, Super and I watched a show together, Shoko Tensei or Jobless Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Checked all those boxes, perfect animation, really good dialogue, made you kind of care about the main character. But every single person in that show is extremely horny.
Mm-hmm.
And the main issue is the main character is a 40-year-old guy who got reincarnated by a child, has a childhood crush, but keeps his inner voice as a 40-year-old man, and it's he's narrated by a 40-year-old man, and
Very
he does
unsettling.
That's despicable.
very adult things with other children, and it really makes you feel uncomfortable. There were some episodes where I had to like close my eyes, and I'm just like, oh, it's just too much. So I agree with you fully, DJ.
Not good, not good. But um, moving on to our final topic here, I think it's been good so far. We have a very stimulating conversation, and it is revolving around the streaming services, Funimation, Crunchyroll, VRV. They're taking over. I think all of us are at that age where we remember watching anime on GoGo Anime, Kiss Anime. I used to watch Just Dubs whenever I didn't want to read, and other anime services like that where we watch for free. However, now
Dark
things have
World.
turned. So, yeah, there you go. Now things have turned. Those sites have been almost all, I think, taken down. I remember whenever one of them is taken down, the people are RIPing on Twitter, and they've been replaced by these streaming services by the company, which provides you the content, but obviously you have to pay for. And my question to all of you is this actually good for us as consumers, like as the people, and is this good for us? Is it good for anime as a whole? Doombot, I'm gonna start with you again on this very last topic of the first episode of the Ramen Break.
I think that it's best to kind of separate the two services. I'm gonna say back in the day, and you know what I mean by that. Just talking about the previous services, but I think they were kind of like the pioneers, right? Like we used to kind of go through, and I'm gonna bring up Toonami, all those different anime services, and they kind of introduced North American anime. It became so mainstream, picked up super fast that now anime has become much more in demand. So they have to find different ways to bring it to us, such as
Yeah.
Funimation and VRV. And I think right now they're doing a good job. Yeah, most of it's under subscription, but then again, everybody and their mom has a subscription service. It's just how media's currently going right now, unfortunately. And but I think it's kind of they're just bringing us more and more anime. I think the pioneers came, proved the way for us. They kind of gave us the introductory anime, and now they're saying, okay, North America loves anime, so how can we bring them to them in the large scale? And I think that's what shows like or platforms like Netflix, Verve, Funimation, Crunchyroll. I think that's what they're doing right now.
Well, coming in here, and I'm jumping ahead of some guys here just because I think it'll help the conversation. I'm a little cross because on one hand it's like, wait, you mean to tell me that anime has grown so much in America that there are millions of people willing to pay for it? That's fantastic. That says that we're growing. But on the other hand, I think to myself, it was so much easier when I was a kid just to type in an anime name, find whatever site had it, and watch it. Extremely easy. I loved it. Did it give me viruses? Hell yeah. But some of my favorite anime that I've watched of all time, I watched on GoGo Anime. I watched Code Geass on GoGo Anime. I watched Guilty Crown on GoGo Anime, like for free. And now if I want to watch those shows, I have to pay for them. Granted, this is a conversation for another day. I do want these artists to get paid for their work, which is why I'm kind of leaning on it being a great thing. But I also still have an issue with the services themselves because sometimes it feels like there's nothing on there. And when I have the services, it's like, okay, I wanted to watch Lovely Complex for the longest time, but Lovely Complex was not on VRV for a minute, and I had to wait for it. And if you're telling me you have all this anime, I want it in one place, which is weird because I know with regular TV, I shouldn't say regular TV, but live action television, there is no one place to get them all.
Yeah.
But still,
You got big dreams there, buddy. You got
I
big
know.
dreams.
I think that technically, legally speaking, which we don't pirate here at the Off Rangers.
Never.
But you can still. I would not recommend it. I would not recommend it. You can still look up anime online. I wouldn't do it. You can look up on anime online for free. But I would recommend going the legal way and kind of just.
Yeah.
Like you said, supporting our artists who are working hard on these shows.
Yeah.
And I think it just comes down to ultimately it's a legal thing. There's different shows who are licensed and owned by different companies. And the companies can only get supported by certain parent companies. So that's where they put them on their platform and not on others. So it's
And you know what? It's also easier too.
Yeah.
And I realized that to just pay for it, like I know I said it was easier early. It was easier in the back in the day when it was, you just get on Go Anime and everything was there and no one gave a shit. But now it's like, damn, bro, like it's much easier just to get a Funimation account, which I honestly think, if you ask me, is probably the best out of all the services. I know that's probably a shocker, but I think Funimation has the best variety out of all of them, and the best like just gems, because VRV has moved a little bit away from that. That's what I was over for a different day. I just think it's a little bit easier that way.
That's my main concern right now with how everything is going. Because you know how the death of cable TV right now, we got Netflix, Hulu,
Hmm.
Paramount Plus, Crackle, all these different things. Is
Peacock.
Yeah, Peacock. We got these 38 different streaming services. As someone who does not own the subscription himself, um, are you able to hop on Funimation and watch the first season half of Naruto and then scroll down and go to your real niche anime that no one knows about? Are you able to still do that, or
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
okay?
Yes.
As far as like quality wise, would you say, is it a good selection of everything, or am I still having to get Funimation? I need Verb for this. My Hero is only on Hulu. I gotta get Hulu, or is it one of those situations where, for the most part, even though it's not like the days of
Hmm.
Go Go and Kiss Anime, for the most part, you can still get sort of everything you're watching. Is it?
Yeah, it's like that. Like the biggies are on them all.
Mm,
Like the biggies are on every single one. But it's
so
like for example, Cautious Hero is
mm,
only on Funimation. I don't think you can get that on Verve if anyone
You
else
can
can
get that
get
on Hulu, I think.
that on Hulu, yeah. So chances are, if you have like two, you have them all. But I guess the thing is that you want to pay for two. And technically, you could have a free Hulu. Because back in the day, I had a
Well,
free Hulu account, and that's how I watched a lot too. But
mm-hmm.
I didn't want the ads.
yeah, and I also feel like some of the streaming services are way cheaper than us. Well, cheaper. The anime streaming services are way cheaper than us getting like Netflix and Hulu because you pretty much paying like 15 to 20 bucks for those,
Hmm.
and Verb only pay $10 a month, which is like awesome.
Do you feel like going down the route that, for example, like at like HBO Max and Showtime, for example, going on a route where, okay, well, Mappa's breaking off. Now you can only get Mappa made shows on this streaming website, and now Studio Wit's broken off, and Studio Wit has all their shows on one thing. Do you see it going towards that? Because at the end of the day, it's all about money, right?
Hmm.
So if
Yeah,
they can make more money forcing you to buy this Mappa subscription and getting you buy the Studio Wit subscription, that's what I'm worried about having. You see that happening at anytime, not at least in the next 10, 20 years?
I
I
don't
do
think.
feel
I
like
don't
it's
think
gonna
so.
happen.
I don't think that's going to
I
happen.
don't. If we were
Why?
in Japan, I would say yes to that.
Mm,
But
why?
because
Why
we're
do
in the
you
United,
not?
does
Um,
it? Go
you
ahead.
go first,
Get
DJ.
about. No, you got it, Dim.
Okay. Well, okay. Look how DC tried to do that. DC really
Mm,
tried to come and make their own streaming platform. And it was going to have only DC things on that. And I have not heard or seen. I think DC streaming failed. I don't think that they make things on there anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, but um,
the
I
HBO
think
Max took them
it's,
over.
it's on HBO Max. So you see what I mean? They tried to go specific, and then they end up getting absorbed back into HBO Max, which has a whole slew of different things. And that'd be kind of the same thing if Disney tried to do the same thing about maybe like 20 years ago. They're going to say, okay, you know what? We're going to have just Disney things on our own streaming platform. Come join us. I don't think it'll work. But now that Disney has grown to the size it has, where it has Star Wars, it has
Everything.
Disney things, it has Marvel, it's so broad it can be its own streaming and it works. But I don't think Star Wars streaming would work. I don't think
Mm,
Marvel only streaming would work. It would just fail. So the more specific you go and ask people for money, I don't think they're going to bite for it. They're just going to go find it somewhere else. You have to be part of something that's already established, something big that's going to offer more in order for them to give that money up. I'm not paying for Hulu if I can only watch one studio worth of anime. I have to have more than just that. I can't just watch Family
hmm
Hulu. I need like more.
mm.
Piggybacking off that, I just don't think. I think that could happen in Japan, maybe where they have a larger following, but in America, I don't think the average anime watcher, like, I don't think they know who Madhouse is or
Mm,
Mappa and all these anime things. And I think it would be stupid for them to do that because let's be real, those are great studios. They make really great stuff, but their money makers, especially here in the U.S., they might have maybe 1 or 2 shows a year that do that. And you mean to
Mm.
tell me you're going to hold people up for 1 or 2 shows a year? I think it's a lot easier for them to, in the United States, to have their shows on something with a much larger platform so that they can be viewed. Because if you shrink it down that much, that's just a bad business model. It's definitely just like what Doombot said, where
Mm.
if you switch that over too soon, where you don't have the proper, like if you don't have the proper audience, it makes no sense to try to make them pay more for something when they're just going to shoulder shrug and say, okay, cool, I'll just go to Doghouse or somebody else like that, and just watch their shows because their shows are still on Verve. Or better yet, someone else will just come and someone will replace them no matter what. There's too much good anime out nowadays to where I think one studio could do that because the market's too competitive. I think that they would just get replaced completely.
Mm.
So that's just me.
And if you think about like the long term money making for it, so like on Netflix, you get like season 12 through season 1 through 12 of Criminal Minds. I'm going with live action shows. And if you go to Hulu, you get 12 in the newer seasons. And I think it's a standpoint of they're able to license out a portion of their series to certain streaming services. So now they making money off of two companies because they have to. The one company has to pay them to keep those services, those series, those seasons on that platform. And now you also have another platform using these seasons. And I think, and then again, it's a way for them to make more money because then they can have a contract for a set years. So 5 years from now, they could take it off of there because your contract's up and you can renew it for negotiate a new price, or we could sell it to somebody else. And it's kind of how you see you used to see on cable where, hey, I don't watch Friends, but I just know it's you used to be able to watch Friends on probably on like ABC Family or something, not ABC, but now it's licensed out to TBS, so you can watch all your Friends on there, and the show's already canceled, and they're just sitting there making money off of that.
110%.
And I think it's just streaming this the streaming platform services is just a good idea for non-Japanese fans because it just allows us to get more of anime we want and be more exposed to different types of anime than we would have by just watching what was popular and was put on by I would say Adult Swim or Toonami. Because that's where I used to watch my anime. So my anime used to be Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto.
That's Bill.
Zatch Bill.
I didn't watch
remember
that.
You know
It
who's
was
got the power.
and I used to watch that weird one called Bubba 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 Bubba
Bobo,
Bubba.
Bobo.
I
Yeah.
also watched that one.
And then in the morning, before I used to go to school, I used to watch Inuyasha, and that was like my real main anime I used to watch consistently.
You guys definitely eased some of my concern. I was definitely worried about that. So I agree. If in a worldwide market, them trying to do what essentially America has done with their streaming services is going to fail horrendously. So you definitely ease my worries on that. Thanks, guys.
No problem. It's what we do, bud. Now, before we end this topic completely, we end this first episode, I do have one question to ask, and that's, one, does anyone know how Toonami is actually doing viewer-wise? Because I feel like the internet low-key is kind of a death knell to Toonami.
I don't know. I don't have cable no more. Yeah,
Just
I have
the
streaming
same.
services.
So I'm saying, because I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, like back in the day, like Toonami is how I watched anime at late on Saturday night. Like that's what I did. And now I'm like, I've already seen all the shows that Toonami airs because I have the services.
Yeah, like I don't also have cable. I'm definitely not aware of the ratings, but think about when we were younger. I know our ages are a little bit different. When we were younger, the only access of anime we really had was Toonami. That's the only place you would see Dragon Ball Z. The only place you would see Yu Yu Hakusho. Only way I even found out about Naruto. But I feel like as we got older and anime, I want to say like the last
or 4Kids for people without cable back then.
I would say anime like the last 10 years has exploded onto the mainstream, right? So now you got the internet where you're able to, and as the generation who I would consider this generation who grew up on anime, we're the ones to start with Toonami. As we get older, we get access to more things. We're actually able to go directly to the source and get these things. So like when DJC said, for the showing like Toonami coming on episode 16 of Naruto. I've already seen that shit years ago. What, you just now get licensed to this? Like no one's no one's waiting Saturday night to get that accomplished anymore. Anime becomes
Yeah.
so mainstream, it's no longer this niche, undercover hush hush thing. Like people are admitting that they like it, people are spending money on it, and there's available in so many different areas on the internet, so many different services. I feel like
Yeah.
it's no point for Toonami. Toonami was the introductory point to a lot of people watching and enjoying anime, but it's not the no longer the carrier. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like no one's riding, no one's doing horse and carriage anymore because we found cars and planes and shit. Like Toonami is no longer
Upperboards.
yeah.
Nobody grabbing that Coca-Cola to stay up late with some chips trying to watch all the anime.
I would say Toonami's still pretty important. I mean, you know, just like we have streaming services now, there are kids growing up who
We have the
maybe
internet though.
extra late with their older brother or whatnot watching TV or just staying up late at night. And Toonami is probably a really good bridge for some people into anime. You know, because I probably didn't get into anime really until I was like in high school. But as a kid, I remember seeing those late night Bleach episodes. Oh, you face. Those late night Bleach episodes coming on, or like Dragon Ball Z coming on, like Naruto coming on. I remember those nights, and I think for a lot of people, that's like how they get the anime start. You know, for a lot of kids nowadays, like wow, that show, whatever's on, probably like Fire Force something. Fire Force is cool. What else can I look for?
Attack on
they go
Titan.
out.
They got that on there.
Yeah.
Hell of a
So
first
Attack on
start.
Titan's cool. What kind of anime or what kind of cartoon is this? And look out, it's called anime. So now they say, okay, when I get older, I want to get a streaming service for anime, or maybe my parents can get a streaming service for anime. And I think it just acts as a bridge. I think it serves a simple purpose. You know, I think it's not like the biggest supporter of anime, but I think it's still important.
Well, I also still feel like your mainstream streaming service like Netflix and Hulu is still a bridge because after not having cable for so long and then hopping onto it still was a bridge for me, but I feel like now kids they can hop onto like Hulu and then they like, oh, I want to watch a cartoon. They don't know what type of cartoon it is until they click on it and then like, oh, they speaking in a different language. Now they like, but they read it or they get the dub version and they're watching it and it's still sort of a bridge for them because it's a cool little show they're watching.
I agree with you on Hulu. I disagree with you on Netflix because Netflix anime section it's better, but it's still trash compared to everything else. Netflix is garbage.
Oh yeah,
So,
Hulu's better, but you still can
by
watch some
far.
stuff on Netflix and it can still be a bridge for some people who don't have Hulu.
Plus, I
Well,
feel like the internet, because at least I don't know when y'all got a computer in your house. I didn't get a computer in my house till ninth grade, I think. So I didn't have like immediate access to the internet. Kids nowadays are born knowing how to use tablets. My niece can sign into my sister's Netflix account already. Like they know how to get to these things. I feel like with the availability of internet and Hulu and all these other things, I feel like Toonami is not going to be as important. It's still important for some, I guess, but the fact that no one has cable really anymore, and the fact that the kids have immediate access to the internet, I feel like they're not able to be that bridge anymore. You know, I wish they would. Because I'm a huge Toonami fan. That was my goal Saturday night to be home and watch Toonami, but I don't think they I don't think they got it anymore.
And while you playing the cable networks and stuff, they're switching to or providers. I mean,
every single one is getting a
they have
streaming service, man.
they're all really streaming services when they hand it to you now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Peacock is actually channel 3. Oh, my bad.
NBC. That's NBC's.
I'm sorry.
NBC's.
But
That's NBC. And now you know where he lives.
But
have to pull up to.
Also to touch on what Soup said about like the culture of just staying up watching the show and then like knowing like people are watching all this stuff I used to watch. And it's kind of funny, like when you go into a store, you see a small little kid rocking with a Naruto shirt, and then you over here do hand signs real quick, and he looks at you and laughs, and you just don't know, son. I used to watch that when I was your age, a long time ago.
Young laddie. It was a young warthog. And we are done with our first episode. It's been a wonderful experience with you guys. Love the in-depth conversation. I can already tell next episode we have to lead with. You need to remind me why Netflix keeps failing with anime. Because I'm gonna leave you guys with a hot button here, but I did not like Yasuke all that much. But that's another story for a different day.
That's a Netflix anime. You
gotta say Netflix anime, but still. I'd like to thank you guys so much. This has been the Ramen Break, powered by the Off Rangers. We thank you guys for watching this show. Check out our other content. We have so much up. We just put up a new video about anime that passed the vibe check. We also just ranked every opening from My Hero from worst to best. It might surprise you which ones we picked first. And we just dropped a new episode of the All Rangers podcast, our main podcast where we talk about all topics from anime, games, comics, anything else that might find you in nerddom. Thank you. I'm DJC Universe. We have been the Ramen Break, and Jan, I don't know. We
Slurping up that goodness.
No, you will not.
That's not the intro.
Cancel that right
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, then we need a new one.
We need a new one.
Beyond, you got to give us an outro. The people have to hear this live now.
I'm trying to figure it out, but
Next
Damn.
time.
next time. I got you next time.
This is
Damn.
play elevator music for the next 30 minutes.